Hello everyone and welcome to another Total War Warhammer online commentary. In this battle I'm going to be playing Bretonnia led by King Louis. And guys, we're going to be facing off against the Warriors of Chaos led by Prince Sigvald, who does also appear to have his personal bodyguard, the Mirror Guard. So let's jump right into this game and take a look at the army compositions and we can go from there. So in the front line, I do have an entire battle line of peasant mobs, although I would hesitate to call them a battle line, but nonetheless, I wanted to see how they would do against the Warriors of Chaos as fodder units. Chaos does have some decent shock damage in the front line, like Forsaken, and the Swords of Chaos, often charge right up the middle. So I wanted to see if these peasant mobs could kind of mitigate some of that shock damage and allow my foot squires to do a little bit more, work. In the secondary battle line, I do have foot squires. So foot squires are pretty much a staple against Chaos, I think, because most Chaos infantry are, fairly heavily armored. So you have Chaos Warriors with great weapons, you have Forsaken, who actually have, like 70 or 75 armor. So you definitely need some AP in the front line, and these guys also do have a bonus versus infantry of 8. So even if they're fighting against Chaos Marauders, who are unarmored for the most part, they're going to get a nice little bonus. In the middle, I did bring a Grail Reliquae. So Foot Squires, after the Bretonnian DLC came out, got a little bit of a nerf to their leadership, so I think it's definitely necessary to have a Grail Reliquae. It puts them up to about 85 leadership, whereas, without that, I think is it hitting these guys on the far side? They're at 73? Something else is probably buffing those guys. Maybe it's King Louis nearby. So in the archery area, I do have two groups of peasant bowmen with the pox arrows, and Chaos does have a lot of large units that are fairly strong. They have Shaggus, they have Dragon Ogres, what are the new ones called? The Summoners of Rage, who don't have a lot of armor. There were some buffs to the Chaos armor on Shaggus, so Kolek now has 100 armor, and I think Dragon Ogre Shaggus, the kind of a 2,000 gold one, that's a single unit, does also have 90 or 100 armor himself. So the peasant bows aren't going to be as great as they were before because, again, they have relatively low AP values of 3. Nonetheless, the volume is going to do well, and poison is also a very strong mechanic. So I think these guys are pretty useful, and people have been bringing the Weird Spawn and other units like that are also very good targets for missile fire. In the back, I do have the Beast Slayers of Bastion, the Regiment of Renown of Foot Squires, which basically just turns them into men-at-arms with polearms with a little bit more stats. But these guys are good, definitely good against Chaos. They have armor piercing, so if Kolek comes storming through, or Shaggus, or Chaos Knights, or anything like that, they're going to perform very well. On the other side, I do have men-at-arms with polearms, so these guys are pretty darn similar. I mean, they have anti-large, they have armor piercing, but of course their melee defense and melee attack isn't quite as high as the Beast Slayers. Actually, their melee attack is pretty darn close. Let's see if we can get that here. So, oh no, it's not. It's at 22. I think I was mousing over the questing knights. On top of that, I do have the companions right here. The companions are great against Chaos. I mean, they trade pretty efficiently with Chaos Knights and the Swords of Chaos, and also they're really good as like a center line unit. So you can charge them right up the middle, and they have great sustained combat stats. So, Cav that have lances and, are more meant for shot combat don't have the same like melee attack and melee defense that these type of Cav do. Chaos Knights are kind of similar, the ones without the lances, but nonetheless, they do pretty well for me. And something else, guys, the reason why these guys are quite strong is they have this ability right here, the Blessing of the Lady. So when they're not broken, essentially, they get 20% physical ward save, which is quite powerful. One other group of questing knights on the far side, and that's pretty much it. I do have Lore of Life, and I have Earthblood as well as the Dwellers Below, which of course is pretty much a staple of competitive play now. It's just until it gets changed. I mean, everyone's going to be bringing it, so might as well join the party. I do have King Louis up here. He's ready to go. He's got his what's it called, the Sword of Corone, which is a very strong ability. It's good against Chaos. It's good against dwarves. Very strong against pretty much anyone. Because even if he's dueling an enemy lord or something like that against a non-armored faction, it's still going to be nice to lower their melee defense and their armor. So in the front line for my opponent, he has a bunch of Chaos Marauders, and they're actually a Silver Chevron. So this is pretty interesting, but nonetheless, they have decent offensive stats. They have a 39 melee attack and 33 melee defense. They're going to struggle a little bit against the armor of the Foot Squires because their AP values are very low at 6. But nonetheless, they should do okay. And I mean, it looks like they're more of a fodder unit for some of the backline troops. He does have the Mirror Guard. He has some Forsaken in the back, and he also has the Demon Spew. So the Demon Spew are the Regiment of Renown of Forsaken. These guys have outstanding stats. They have 53 melee attack and 64 weapon strength, which I think is the same as regular Forsaken, but the poison and the Swarm of Flies is their other ability. So it's right here. It gives -8 melee attacks. Pretty strong. In the back, he does have the Summoners of Rage and the Swords of Chaos, as well as Lord Metal. And this is actually one of the first times I've seen the Soul of Damnation here. Well, this is the Regiment of Renown. Oh, am I fast forwarding here? This Regiment of Renown of the Hell Cannon. So I assume it's a little bit more accurate. And he's also got a big bad Prince Sigvald back there. So guys, without further ado, let's watch some peasants get blasted by a Hell Cannon. Should be fun. So the Soul of Damnation is shooting in. I certainly hope for his sake that he's manually aiming it. I'm so terrible at that. I've always wanted to learn that because I've played some games where I've been playing like Empire against Chaos, and they'll just like annihilate all my handgunners before I get there, and it's really strong. But regardless, it looks like he is targeting my Foot Squires right here, but the Soul of Damnation is definitely going to lose its effectiveness pretty quickly as I get closer here. You can see my peasant hordes are getting ready to take that charge, and they're going to be great for kind of a, doing a little bit of, shock and awe against those Forsaken, taking the shock and awe of the Forsaken, and then allowing my Foot Squires to do a little bit better. So I just discovered these Demon Spew. I didn't see them, so I came in here to get a little bit of a charge on the flank. I figured, hey, why not? So we get a little bit of a freebie. We're going to do some decent damage against these Chaos Marauders, as Questing Knights do hit pretty darn hard. So we get in there on the flank, and I immediately have to retreat because the Demon Spear are going to come in, and they do have poison, so I wanted to get out of there. But my opponent actually uses a Final Transmutation, so that's going to do quite a bit of damage. But that Hell Cannon really hasn't done much other than, you know, kill 20 peasants. So that's definitely not cost effective so far. So the Demon Spear are coming down here, so I'm going to, you know, engage them with my Foot Squires and start shooting them with some poison. So you can see their stats are being hindered, and the Foot Squires should actually do pretty well against these guys, especially if I charge in. So I'm sending in my Questing Knights here to smash these guys, and the Foot Squires coming in. It's going to be a very, very bad day for that regiment over now. In the front line, the poor peasants have engaged against Marauders, and you can see they're just fighting with their pitchforks and their hoes here in the front line, and it's not going to be a good battle. I mean, this is every peasant's nightmare, fighting a barbarian horde, right? So the peasants here on the high ground, they're still at 97 models, and their leadership's holding tight at 7. It looks like it's going up and down between negative and positive, but they are going to break pretty quickly here. Granted, the Foot Squires are going to come in, and the Chaos Marauders took a little bit of damage themselves, so cannot complain. So a lot of the peasants are routing from the front line, but now the Foot Squires have replaced them, and, you know, the shock damage they took, you know, that's a lot of HP they took, so, you know, at least the Foot Squires didn't have to take that. On the far side, this is the very heavy battle. I didn't get a chance to show you guys really, but we had the companions right here and King Lewin fighting against the Summoners and the Swords of Chaos. So I popped Swords of Corona. I also used Dwellers Below back here, which did a ton of damage to these guys. And I was able to cast it in a way that it like clipped the edges of his formation, because I now know that it damages my own units, and it didn't actually hurt my companions too badly. Granted, a very atrocious trade. I lost my Regiment of Renown as well as some infantry, but he definitely lost quite a bit more with the Summoners of Rage and the Swords of Chaos taking a lot of damage. So you can see my Damsel coming in here, as well as the Beast Slayers of Bastion. So these guys with their anti-large and armor piercing should do pretty well, and you can see they're charging into those unchivalrous brutes. And they'll actually do well against Forsaken as well, because again, they have, you know, decent defensive stats, good armor, and you know, nice armor piercing damage. So you can see these Dragon Ogres are kind of getting dragged into the mud, but my companions are probably about to rout. You can see they're now broken, but King Louis did a really good job, and I think I did cast an Earthblood as well that was able to keep him afloat for quite some time. So my opponent's force is in pretty bad shape there, but in the front line, it's going a little bit better for him. You can see Prince Sigvald is in here fighting in the pits, just walking all triumphantly through these piles of bodies, but I think he was going after some of the Foot Squires, or maybe pushing his way out to that side of the battlefield. No, it looks like he was just going for those Foot Squires there. He does some decent shock damage, and in the back, I'm trying to get to this Soul of Damnation, which is actually still shooting. So my Questing Knights got back there, but they're shaken and surrounded by Marauders and a lot of, you know, a lot of nasty stuff. The Mirror Guard are also in pretty good shape with 69 models, so they did pretty well on their side of the battlefield. Granted, they are being pursued by Foot Squires, and you can see my peasant mobs back here are still shooting, I think. Well, they're not peasant mobs. Well, I guess they're peasant bowmen, so they technically are peasants, but nonetheless, we're shooting in here and peppering a lot of these Marauders who are shaken and kind of getting ready to run off the battlefield. You can see King Louis up in the sky looking for his goodies. We do get a nice Earthblood going down right here, which is going to just buff all these men-at-arms and give me some nice sustainability in the front line. So the peasant mob's still coming back and fighting. I'm actually quite eager to see how many kills they racked up, because Marauders, you know, have pretty poor defensive stats. Granted, 33 melee defense isn't bad because they are a shielded unit, but the peasant mobs have 19 melee attack right now, which is not, that's not terrible. So they're getting in there and, you know, laying a smackdown. They actually have 5 kills. I'd be eager to see if they get another one here, but I doubt it. And you can see a lone Sword of Chaos coming back in, just such a powerful unit. But we do have the companions coming back as well. Oh, look at this Sword of Chaos. He's coming in hot. He wants some sweet revenge. So he charges in. He's probably going to massacre a few peasants on his way out, but it doesn't look like the Warriors of Chaos have too much left. So if we zoom up here, they have Prince Sigvald. They have the Mirror Guard in the front line who are, you know, putting up a good fight. 63 kills is not bad at all. He also gets another really good Final Transmutation, which is an extremely powerful ability, but his caster did rout. So guys, a little bit of a tip there. And the Summoners of Rage dropping some lightning on the Beast Slayers of Bastion. A little bit of a tip there. So if a caster is about to rout, let's say you have a Chaos Sorcerer with metal, or pretty much anything for that matter, and you cast a spell like Fate of Unit or Final Transmutation, and it's cast, the effect starts to, you know, take effect, and then the caster then routes to something. He gets like his leadership drops below 0, he gets ganked, rear charge, whatever. The spell will stop casting, which I don't really like that interaction. I definitely think it should keep casting because you've already invested the resources, you've got the full cast off, but again, that is a reality and that is going to happen. So just be aware of that, guys. A little public safety announcement. So the Soul of Damnation definitely offline. Some of the Chaos Marauders are coming back, but the Peasant Hordes are coming back and charging the front line. They want more blood for the Peasant God over here, and yeah, they got 3 kills. Not bad. And it looks like Prince Sigvald is indeed surrounded and taking quite a bit of a beating from King Lewin, who has really good AP as well as regeneration, so Sigvald doesn't really have much on him. So well played to my opponent. It was quite a bit of fun. He took a risk there bringing the Soul of Damnation. Granted, I got 71 kills, but most of those were on Peasants. And honestly, like, it's such an expensive Regiment of Renown that if you're not really going to manually aim it, or you're, I don't know, it seems tough against Bretonnia, who's pretty mobile and has a lot of ways of pressuring it. But nonetheless, had that been like manually aimed and he, killed my archers, before the fighting started, or just eradicated a few of my foot squires or the beast slayers bastion, I think that would have been very helpful. But I didn't get a chance to show you guys the dwellers below. That was a really big kind of a turning point in the battle. He got a really good charge, but I did have the companions over there fighting who have good AP, so they were trading well with the Swords of Chaos, but getting the Beast Slayers of Bastion, flanking them, as well as that Dweller's Blow, which I do think is a little bit overpowered. I think it needs to be toned down. But I guess, one of the better ways to get it changed is to just keep showing it and keep using it, and then eventually they'll see that it's in every single game, and it needs to be changed. But I don't know, its power level just seems too high. Even if they nerfed it by 50%, right? They take 50% of the damage right off the top of the Dwellers Below. I think that would be fine. It would still be very powerful. It would take a group down to half health, and for the cost, whatever, that's fine. It's, it only targets a certain area, but nonetheless, it needs a little bit of a change, I think. And a lot of people have been comparing the Dweller's Blow to the Chaos Sorcerer, the Final Transmutation, but Final Transmutation, it'll take down 30 to 40% of your Legendary Lord's health, but it's a big investment if you want to overcast it, and it's 15 wins of magic regardless, and there's a lot of counterplay with that, with like healing, but the Dweller's Below just simply just destroys like so much value in one shot. I've had it used against me to great effect, but again, it can be played around. He made the mistake of blobbing everything up, and it's tempting though when you have King Lewin and some high value cav, you want to go after them, but I don't know. I just think it needs to be tuned a little bit, even 25 to 50% on the nerf on the power level. I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the section below. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. So thanks again for watching this game. Very well played to my opponent Doomlord. Look forward to seeing you again in ladder, and hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed this Bretonnia cast. Have an excellent night and take care.